Yeshua was the Messiah of mankind, but Donald Trump is the Messiah of America.
This is Shane Vaughn. He's the leader of a Trump religion. Now, there's a Trump cult out there, a cult of personality that is obsessed with the guy, loves him with every fiber of their being. But this guy goes a step beyond that. He is a leader of the Trump religion. He believes that Trump is a messiah, as we just heard. As it turns out, he has some ideas about how to fix the Constitution. And those ideas, spoiler alert, entail erasing parts of it. So I wanted to talk about him, give a little bit of background on him, show you a little bit about who he is, and then we'll talk about his brilliant ideas to fix the Constitution. Check this one out, mid-October 2022.
Oh, hallelujah. Who are you, Dominion Software, before Trump and the Trump harvest? Who are you, Democrat Schumer and Pelosi? Who are you?
Think about how he's framing things. Think about the language that he's using and the words that he's saying. He's phrasing things as though it's a religious prophecy from God, a message coming from God's mind to Shane Vaughn's lips. That's how he's framing it. And what is it that he's telling us? He's telling us about things that he believes that Donald Trump hates. He finds things that Trump hates, and he hates them too. He prophesies about them from God. He has intertwined religion and Trumpism inextricably.
Great mountain before the man that I've raised up. Who are
the man that I've raised up is Donald Trump. You'd think it was Jesus, right? The man that he raised up. No, it's Trump.
Raised up? Who are you, Liz Cheney? Who are you, January the 6th committee?
I don't want it to slip by that he just called her Les Cheney. That is absolutely depraved.
Committee? Who are you, Merrick Garland? Who are you, Mueller? Who are you? Who are you? This is what God said. Who are you, O great mountain, that stands before Trump and the army that I've raised?
He looks for absolutely anything that he can say or do to stand behind Donald Trump, to support him, to hate the things that he hates. Why? Because he thinks Donald Trump is the new Messiah, the second coming, if you will. People say Jesus is going to come a second time because he didn't get to fulfill the things that they believed that he needed to fulfill to actually be the Messiah. He was supposed to act as a cosmic judge. That's why they claim that he's coming a second time in the first place. And now, people like Shane Vaughn believe that Donald Trump is that second coming. He's going to fulfill that thing that Jesus didn't, that they expected him to, that he didn't fulfill. He will stand behind anything that Donald Trump believes, anything that he thinks that Trump would want. He has made politics his religion through and through. So let's listen to his solution to how to resolve some of the problems he sees happening in society right now. And after we hear about his solution to some of the problems, we're actually going to listen to an interesting prediction that he made about Truth Social and Elon Musk handling Twitter. We're going to watch that at the end, but let's listen to his take on how to resolve the political issues in the U.S. Mid-December 2022.
We cannot defeat the population centers without the Electoral College. Now, I said all that to say, let's go to Georgia. Last week on Tuesday night, we were all watching. And what is Georgia? From top to bottom, across the whole thing, what color is Georgia? Why? It's all red, is it not? The entire state is conservatives.
No, it isn't. Okay, let me show you a more accurate map. I understand how he could mistakenly get the impression that the entire state of Georgia is conservatives. But let's take a look at a more accurate map of Georgia. This is a map of the United States that he's referring to, right? It looks completely red at face value. If you just look at this map, you would think that he was right, because it's all red, right? And just little tiny blue segments scattered sporadically throughout. But here's the thing. Land doesn't vote. This is empty space that we're looking at here. All of this red, it's all empty space. The blue areas are population centers. Let's look at a more accurate depiction of the electorate right here. This is what it would actually look like if we were looking at voters rather than land. Land is completely irrelevant. We shouldn't be looking at the red spots in the first place. We should only care about the blue spots, or we should only care about the clustered spots, because that's an actual accurate representation of what we're looking at. So right here is Georgia. The whole state is not red. Over 50% of the state of Georgia is blue. But Shane Vaughn's looking at this map where there's just one little section, one tiny little itty-bitty sliver right here of blue because of how the districts were drawn. But he has a solution to that problem, see? He wants to fix it. Sure, half the state votes Democrat and half votes Republican, but he wants the Republican to win every time, despite the fact that that's not how democracy works. So let's listen to him explain the solution.
Entire state is conservatives, all rushing to the polls. They came to the polls that day and blew the numbers out the water. And they were winning their state. They were turning their state in the right direction until they hit that blue area called Atlanta, Georgia.
You mean where most of the voters are? Are you kidding me? Does he not know how this works, really? This is where most of the votes came from. Yeah, they counted the Republican votes early because that's just, that's the nature of the red mirage. That's how it works. They talked about this in 2016, 2020. The red mirage is a phenomenon that's well understood in election or electoral politics or whatever else. What he's describing right now is the red mirage, and just like Donald Trump, he's trying to use it as the premise for a claim of fraud, for the claim that he's been wronged in some way, that all Republicans have been wronged and taken advantage of. No, this is just democracy. This is just how it works. This is what Georgia actually looks like.
And now, good try, all you great citizens of Georgia. Thank you for coming to the polls, but you have a problem. Your voice doesn't matter because you don't have the majority of the population. So therefore, you really shouldn't have even shown up to vote.
Okay, he doesn't understand democracy at all, like not even a little bit.
Because we're going to stop you in the population centers. And I looked across that state and I said, you know what? Everyone in that state is a conservative, except for those two blue dots.
No, everyone in that state is a Democrat, except for these scattered little red dots all over the place. Land doesn't vote. How does he not get this? Land doesn't vote. People vote. Seriously. Is this really that hard to understand for Shane Vaughn?
And that's when it hit me like a stroke of genius.
Oh, here's his plan. Okay.
That's what the founding fathers feared for the nation. But what they feared for the nation is happening in the states. The office of a senator is just like the office of the president. It is a statewide campaign.
Okay, yes, that's true so far, I suppose. Go on.
It is statewide. Therefore, I am of the opinion that the only way to save the Senate in the United States of America is that the Senate election should also be done by the Electoral College of a state.
Wow, interesting. That is his solution, apparently. Change the way that we vote from a democracy to something different, an electoral college type of thing. The electoral college is not democratically chosen. It's not how a democracy operates. But that's a system that we've had since the beginning, so it was kind of grandfathered in. We should really be moving away from that. Oh, believe me, though, he's got more to say on this subject. Here's another one, mid-December 2022, about this very subject.
And what we must do is repeal 17.
Yeah, 17th Amendment's what he's referring to. It's the amendment that describes how senators are elected, basically, from my understanding.
Otherwise, you're going to have a blue House and a blue Senate. And ladies and gentlemen, you cannot govern that way.
Wow, okay. So his beliefs and feelings and ideals are not based on principle. It's not based on, well, I don't think it should work this way. Not for political reasons, but for moral or ethical or logistical reasons. I think that this is a bad idea, and we should kind of try to lobby for this change, basically. If he had a good, solid, honest reason to argue that the 17th Amendment shouldn't exist, the amendment that describes how senators are elected, I may even be on board with him. Actually, I may be willing, I'd at least be willing to listen, at the very least. But he's not giving a logical argument. He's not giving a moral or ethical argument here. He's saying, I don't want Democrats to be in office, and I am willing to do whatever it takes to prevent that from happening, up to and including eliminating democracy in the United States, erasing parts of the Constitution. That's really what he's saying here. Around the time the 2020 election was taking place, I heard a lot of people arguing that we should switch over to the popular vote rather than the Electoral College. Now, if you know anything about politics, you'll know that we wouldn't have a Republican in office for, 30 years or something if we went by popular vote. The vast majority of the past presidents who were Republicans were not elected by popular vote. Trump lost the popular vote. George Bush lost the popular vote both times, I think. George H.W. Bush lost the popular vote, didn't he? Let's find out. Okay, this is from the History Channel. Let's just look at a list of them. John Quincy Adams apparently lost the popular vote but won the presidency. That was from 1824. Basically, the way it works is we have, districts. You can, if you're not from the United States, you can clearly see here how it works, right? So each border, each line, each white line around a little segment here is a different district. And each district basically gets one count in the Electoral College. And there are obviously a lot of red districts here and not as many blue ones. This is the result of gerrymandering, splitting these up. Anyways, that's how somebody could lose the popular vote but win the presidency anyways, by winning enough districts to take the presidency despite the fact that they did not get voted for by the majority of the people. So people who lost the popular vote but won the presidency: John Quincy Adams, 1824, Rutherford B. Hayes, 1876, Benjamin Harrison, 1888, George W. Bush, 2000, Donald Trump, 2016. Wait, did George W. Bush win the presidency win the popular vote in 2004? Oh, looks like he got 50.7% of the popular vote in 2004. So yeah, I guess he did win the popular vote in 2004. I did not know that. Anyway, that was versus John Kerry, I believe. So the point is, we would have far fewer Republican presidents if we went with the popular vote results rather than the Electoral College results. And back in 2020, back in 2016, people were arguing we should be getting rid of the Electoral College. People should just be elected in by popular vote. And I considered that. I considered it not because I want to win. It wouldn't be fair to consider that solely because I want to win. That could come back to bite us, right? It should either be because I want to correct democracy, because I want to make the system more democratic, or we shouldn't do it at all, it seems to me, right? And I'm kind of undecided on this. I feel like I I do want to get rid of the Electoral College. If we did, I think people would have to appeal to everybody in the country rather than a few select states. And they'd actually have to be popular and interesting, at least a little bit more than they are now. Everybody hates politicians nowadays because they all suck. So anyways, I think I am in favor of going with popular vote decides the president. Shane Vaughn wants to go the opposite direction. Not on principle, not because he thinks it's the best way to go, not because it's more democratic, not any of that. Not more ethical, not more logical, not more moral, not more nothing. He wants to do it because he wants to create a system where Democrats are incapable of winning elections. That's simply wrong. That's evil. You aren't supposed to do things that way. You aren't supposed to operate that way. But, goes right over his head. He doesn't care.
I knew it. When I saw Herschel Walker lose that election, and I saw a massive turnout of red all over that state. Matter of fact, it was more of a turnout than they were expecting. The state showed up.
And voted blue. How about that? He thinks that he's entitled to the senatorship or the presidency or whatever because he thinks that land votes, apparently.
To get a red representative, a senator. However, Atlanta said, no, not today. We're going to give you Warlock.
Warlock. Notice that? That was very intentional. Warlock rather than Warnock. That's a cute little way of taking a little slap at somebody that he doesn't like. Look, man, most people live in Atlanta, in the state of Georgia. All this red stuff out here is barren wasteland. Practically nobody is out there. You drive for 15 miles and not see another human being in some of these areas. That's just how it works. Why should a neighborhood made up of 5 houses within a 20-mile radius have the same weight in their votes as a 20-mile radius in Atlanta, Georgia with, 10,000 people in it? That makes no sense at all. You know why he believes that? Simply because he wants to rig it against his political opponents. That's it. That is what is on his mind.
It's not fair.
It's not fair, he says. It's not fair that we count everybody's vote equally. That is so wrong in his mind.
However, Atlanta said, no, not today. We're going to give you Warlock. It's not fair.
Poor guy, so mistreated, right? Poor, filthy, rich, entitled, privileged guy who has everything he could ever ask for in life. Poor fella, huh? So mistreated that he has to put up with people's votes being counted equally. Before we continue, I just wanted to mention something. If you like what I do and you want to see me continue to do it, you can support me in a few ways. First, there's Patreon. That's probably the best way. But if you want to get something back for your support, you can check out my Teespring. Or you can check out my Telltale Unfiltered channel. I go through long-form, unhinged sermons from all kinds of people, from Hank Kunneman to Greg Locke to Jehovah's Witnesses. So give it a look. Links are in the description. Okay, now back to the video. In the beginning of this, I told you we were going to listen to some of his predictions about Donald Trump, Truth Social, and Elon Musk with Twitter. It gets absolutely wild. For good measure, let's give it a listen. Late April 2022. This is when Elon Musk was just talking about buying Twitter before he actually did it. Check out what he says about this. Again, he is a Trump stan. He'll do anything for Donald Trump. So anything that could possibly end badly for Trump, he doesn't want it. It's bad. Including Elon Musk buying Twitter. He's afraid Elon Musk will make it better, and that will drive people away from Truth Social. Check this out.
Do you really believe Elon Musk is a conservative that gives one hoot about our Constitution? If you do, I have got property, oceanfront in Arizona. He could care less about free speech.
This guy is so cringy, I can't stand it. I agree, he could care less about free speech, 100%. He is definitely conservative, though. He is a far-right. He's a QAnoner. Elon Musk, just the other day, tweeted, follow, and then an emoji of a white rabbit. That is a QAnon dog whistle. Elon is a full-blown QAnoner. Or he's trying to take advantage of the QAnoners. I don't know which. They're indistinguishable from each other, so it really doesn't matter for our purposes anyway.
Something ain't right about that man. Anyway, so let's call Uncle Elon and tell him we got to stop Donald Trump. We got to stop Truth Social. So how do we do it? Well, we can't admit we were wrong. We can't just all of a sudden change our policies back to the way they were. We can't just say, oh, well, we messed up. But we could get bought out and let whoever buys us out clean it back up. We make a whole bunch of money in the process. All the conservatives come back. Twitter carries on.
This is actually really interesting to listen to. Again, so this is like, 6 months before Elon Musk actually purchased Twitter? Wow, this is really interesting, actually, to kind of see where his head was at. Of course, nobody had any idea what Elon Musk was actually going to do, so this is all complete guess. But yeah, no one expected Elon Musk to wreck Twitter the way that he is right now either.
So we call Elon and we have him make an offer, and then of course we reject it. That way it looks like we're negotiating.
What does he mean by that? I feel like this guy is an incel, right? Is he an incel?
Comes back and all of a sudden, offer accepted. Bye-bye. We're out of here. We're going to the bank laughing. You can have it, Elon. All the conservatives come back. Let's shut down Truth Social. No need for it anymore. They think that we're dumb.
Well, some do. I mean, yeah, I guess some people may think that. Aside from that, Trump was invited back onto Twitter, for sure. He was. And in fact, they did unsuspend his account. But I think that Trump has, legal requirements and rules that say whether or not he's allowed to come back to Twitter. I don't think he's allowed to just go back to Twitter and start tweeting rather than working on Truth Social. For one reason or another, some kind of a contractual obligation or something.
They think that we're dumb, and a lot of people are.
Well, at least he's admitting it.
But your humble neighborhood Professor Toto is always watching out for these rascals. So, it's a scam. Absolutely, Sister Kimberly.
Watch his face in a second. By the by, he says, Umple, U-M-P-L-E, I don't know what that means. Umple neighborhood Professor Toto. What he's saying is he's calling himself the dog Toto from The Wizard of Oz, grabbing the curtain on the great and magnificent Oz and pulling it back, revealing who it is behind the curtain. That's the idea. He believes that he's pulling the curtain back on all of the elites that are blah, 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 whatever. But anyway, yeah, like I was saying, watch his face in a second. He's about to do duck lips, like you would expect an Instagram model to do. It's so cringy.
It's a scam. But we pulling back the curtain.
God, that is so cringy. Oh my God, dude. I am oh God, I want to vomit. I want to physically vomit watching him do that. Oh, it's so cringy.
But we pulling back the curtain.
Oh my God, it's so bad. Why do I keep rewinding this?
It's a scam. But we pulling back the curtain on those liberal lies.
Oh, it's painful, dude. It is so painful.
But we pulling back the curtain on those liberal lies.
I guess I just hate watching stuff. Boy, that is rough. That is rough. That is I can't describe how rough that is lest I get demonetized. That's how rough that is. That is bad, dude. Literally makes you want to vomit watching him do those duck lips.
But we...
Ugh, God, so terrible. Anyway, okay. Let me know what you think about this story. I'm sorry I played that 16 times in a row. It's just so cringy. Let me know what you think about this guy. Tell me if you want to see more stuff from this guy in the comments.